What's up, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. When you're running your short-term rental business, your Airbnbs, your VRBOs, what you really want to be doing is trying to give folks the best possible experience in order for them to feel like they've gotten the best amount of value for their money, and they leave you a nice 5-star review, and you can, use those reviews to get more bookings, make more money, etc. But no matter how nice your place is, and we try to rent the most top-tier places, even if you have those nice places, and you do everything right, and your systems are great, there is always going to be that bad review lurking out there somewhere in the future, or maybe you've already had one. Maybe it's warranted, maybe it's not, because you cannot control every single thing that is going to go on with your short-term rental houses. They're houses. Things happen to them. Really, the bad thing about a bad review is that for the guest, for the person that took their time to book your place, they used their hard-earned money that doesn't go nearly as far as it did, 12 months ago or 2 years or 3 years ago. They spent it on your place, and they got an experience that may have been less than satisfactory, or at least less than what they were expecting. And so today, we're going to go over what to do if you get a bad review. But first, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe down below. Hit that like button for me to help me out in the YouTube algorithm. And we are going to talk about why a bad review is not the end of the world for you, and the two ways that bad reviews usually come in and how you can handle them. Anytime that I've gotten a bad review, or I have heard about people online getting bad reviews, because I'm in several different Facebook groups of Airbnb, VRBO short-term owners, they typically end up being two different categories. There is the actual problem category, and that's going to be some sort of problem with either your house or your systems or something like that. And even though it is a negative thing that happened with this guest and with you, it is an opportunity for you to identify something that can be fixed or gotten ahead of in the future, and you can kind of fix this. The other type of bad review is either the BS review that is really unsubstantiated, a retaliation review where they want something, they're being unreasonable, maybe it's a scam, they want to get money out of you, and it is retaliation for you not giving them the thing that they want. Or it's just maybe just bad, miserable people. Those folks are out there, and their life is not going well, maybe forever or at the moment, and so they want everyone's life to not go well, including yours. And the first thing that we're going to do is start with these actual problem reviews. If you get a bad review and it's a 3, 4, 2, 1 star, that would have to be probably something went pretty bad. But if you have an actual problem, these are opportunities for you to fix what's wrong with either your property or with your systems. You see, the physical things that you can change or fix to when you get these bad reviews, you can go ahead and do that. If there is a railing loose, if the hot tub doesn't work, if the shower's leaking, if an appliance doesn't work, these are very easy things for you to fix. I mean, they may not be necessarily easy, and they might not even be necessarily cheap, but these are physical things that you can either go fix yourself, or you can make phone calls, which is what I do because we manage these from a long way away, several hundred miles away, and you can identify that and fix it. It's not a problem. It's a physical thing, usually phone call and money. It's taken care of, and you can get on to the next guest, and hopefully that they have a much better stay. The other thing is if there is a problem with your systems, and this is going to come down to your messaging, your scheduling, maybe even individual contractors. For example, with your messaging, we recently had an outage with VRBO where my automatic messages weren't being sent from hospitable to VRBO. I had a guest show up and he didn't have his check-in instructions. He could not get into the house. I didn't notice that, even though I went through all of my messages. I thought I had everything done. That was a failure on my part of the messaging. I don't think it's going to cause a big, deal in the end, but that is a minor failure. On the scheduling end of things, if your calendars are not synced and maybe you get a double booking because someone is able to book on Airbnb and someone is able to book on VRBO at the same time, because something went wrong with your sinking, that is a problem with your systems. And with your contractors, if, for example, your cleaners aren't making it there on time, you're ending up with late check-ins because it's not ready. There was failure with your pest control to control any bugs coming in, because we are in the Smokies, we're in the mountains. You end up having a lot of bugs that you have to keep out. If you're at beach markets, there's the individual bugs and pests that go along with that particular market. And so if you have problems with your systems, these are usually things that you can put fixes in. You can either get ahead of things, if you have steep driveways or gravel roads or whatever, you can get ahead of that in your messaging and hopefully fix that for the next guest, or at least give them the heads up so that that's not a problem, especially if you can do that in your listing so that people aren't even booking your place that might have issues with that. Anytime that I get a bad review on a platform, I like to try to reply. I don't reply to all of my good reviews because I have so many of them, and that's not bragging. We have 3 listings, and we have lots of folks, and I just don't really have the time to devote towards responding to each one of those. And it would probably sound pretty generic, just like thanks for staying or whatever, but I do try to reply to all of the bad ones. And I kind of have a formula of how I take ownership of these and are able to, I feel like, express that we are dealing with the issue and that we know that it's a problem and we apologize. First, I take ownership of the problem. Second is that I apologize, and then I kind of put in there what the fix is going to be. For example, if somebody had an issue with a hot tub and they put on their review, we love the place, but it said it had a hot tub, the hot tub didn't work, and so that was kind of a disappointment. I would put on there, I'm very sorry that you guys were disappointed in your stay. I understand that was very important to you, and we did get the handyman or whoever out there as soon as possible to fix it. I hope you stay with us again in the future. What it does is it lets future guests know that I am taking responsibility for issues that come up. I have tried to either fix them or the fix has been implemented, and that we literally do care, and that we apologize for when things do not go well during your stay. And I think that goes a long way towards people looking at the 1 or 2 bad reviews that you might have out of 20, 30, 50 reviews. The rest of them are 5 stars. And they can say that, yeah, there was a problem here. He took responsibility for it. Unfortunately, it happened to these people, but it appears that it's fixed. And, the next reviews after that will show, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, etc. So after the truly legitimate bad reviews, you get into the BS, retaliation, miserable people reviews. And the BS reviews, these are the ones where things are just sort of blown out of proportion. There is a real issue, but it's just out of control. The retaliations, people want some portion of their money back, or they want a free stay, and then miserable people are just miserable people. The thing is that I always like to emphasize that we rent great properties, and I do everything in my power to make sure that they're ready to go, that they're top notch, and just things happen. And the way that I reply to any of these is basically the same way that I respond to the regular bad reviews that they have a material thing that's actually wrong with the place, but I sort of just add something in there that lets everyone know that I feel like it's ridiculous. And you might have the opinion just to tee off on these people and let it loose, but what I do is I still take ownership of the problem. I still apologize and advise that the fix has been done. But then again, I'll put something in there that just kind of lets other folks know that this was sort of ridiculous, and most people can see through this absolutely, BS review type of thing with the original person. Normal folks can usually see through that. We had this issue recently with a fly problem. For some reason, all of the cabins in the Smokies, and I talked to hundreds of owners, a lot of people had it, just had these black flies that were showing up, and this is the first time that this has really ever happened. Even the pest control people were kind of confused by it, and some folks left us a 3-star review, and they said, there's flies, and bring a can of Raid, and it was a very negative sounding review, and they just, it just didn't sound like they were really being helpful, just more like they wanted to hurt our listing. So I put on there, I apologize about this fly issue. We've had pest control come out and deal with it. We would have loved to have dealt with this sooner, but you didn't contact us until the last night of your stay. It was something like that. Very, sounds good, but let people know that, hey, these people didn't contact us until it was far too late for us to do anything to improve their stay, to fix the problem until they had almost already left. And as a matter of fact, they contacted us the last night of their stay at about 7 p.m. after business hours. So there was no way that I was going to be able to get anyone out there to deal with it. You're going to get these retaliation reviews, and a lot of times you'll get them trying to extort money out of you before they leave the review. And if this is, they'll say, you know, if you don't give me $500 back or give me all of my money back, I'm going to leave a bad review. Right there, you need to just go ahead and call the platform that you're on, Airbnb or VRBO. They don't really take too kindly to this, and they will not let them leave a review sometimes. I've heard VRBO is not as good about that as Airbnb, but you can, after that, respectably call it as it is. You know, you can say, listen, we did everything we can for these folks. They demanded money back from us. This is a retaliatory review, especially if they leave you a 1-star for absolutely no reason. But just make sure that you do not come off looking like the bad guy on this one and just completely teeing off on these folks. Just make it clear that this is a retaliatory review, and that it is not really a reflection of the normal operation of your short-term rental. Again, normal people are going to be able to see right through the original reviewer, so let them hang themselves, so to speak. Finally, there's the miserable people, and there's a million reasons why people are miserable. Maybe that's just how they are. Maybe they had car trouble or were stuck in traffic for the entire trip. Maybe their kids were being awful, the weather was being awful. There's a million reasons why people are upset, especially if they spent a bunch of money and all their kids are all whining about things or whatever. And oftentimes, if this is like a 4-star review, you can just ignore these, and there's really no reason to respond to this. If there is anything, again, ownership, apologize, and whatever the fix is, put it in there. You know, I'm sorry that the weather was bad. There was not really anything we can do. But what you can do in a lot of these cases is just go ahead and just ignore them, let them be, and people will see right through it. There was a couple of listings that I was looking at. One was a beach house. They got a 4-star review. The folks said that the place was great, but the weather was cloudy all week. There's nothing that the host can do about that. We got a review one time on one of our cabins, and they said that they just didn't like Gatlinburg. And I can understand how they would lump the two together, but you know, our cabin really doesn't have any link necessarily to their experience in Gatlinburg. I didn't really feel like that was, you know, a good thing, but I just let that one slide. It was a 4-star review, and it was very early on in that property's life, so it actually kind of hurt it in a negative fashion, but things went on. Everything is fine. And the biggest thing that I can try to get through to you guys is that bad reviews are few and far between. Most people go and have a great time. They love your place, and you know, everything goes well and you get a 5-star review. So if you do get one of these bad reviews, try not to let it get you down, because they're going to come along every once in a while. There's a lot of Karens out there. There's a lot of miserable people out there, even when they're on vacation. So just the biggest thing I can say is don't let it get you down, and try not to tee off on every one of these bad reviews, because a lot of times the things that they write are going to be so different than what the other, you know, massive amount of 5-star reviews that your property has gotten before, that people will see that, hey, these people were having a bad day, these people were unreasonable, or this is just completely baloney. Guys, I want you to take a look at the videos on the screen right now. I tell you all about our Airbnb short-term rental business. They tell you about the properties we're buying, how we manage them from afar, and all sorts of tips and tricks just like this about how to run your short-term rental business. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, subscribe down below. I'll give you some tips on when to and when not to give refunds in a future video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next.